Joining us now is Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. He sits on, well, all of the relevant committees, including Senate Armed Services. Senator, thank you for being here. So the U.S. is now in this. The Senate, though you disagreed with it, has now given the president the green light to continue with this war, this operation, this conflict. So what is your understanding the measure of success is now, when the U.S. will get out of this war with Iran?
Kate, that is the key question unanswered by this administration, which seems to think that a video game path to war is a reality. In fact, I have emerged from classified briefings deeply concerned and very fearful that we're on the precipice not only of an escalating conflict in that region, but also our putting American troops on the ground, our sons and daughters in harm's way, because that is almost inevitably the path that the administration has chosen by its current tactical approach. And the vote yesterday rejecting the War Powers Resolution was by no means a final green light to the president. The Republicans are going to be held accountable, but so is the president, because the American people don't want this war, don't understand it, because the administration has failed to explain it. The president has said he had a gut instinct. His press secretary said he had a good feeling. Feelings, whims, instinct seems to be the basis that this administration is going forward, and putting our sons and daughters in harm's way in Iran, which seems to be the path right now, is absolutely abhorrent to the American people.
The president is bringing top U.S. defense contractors to the White House tomorrow. He's been pushing them to ramp up production of munitions. The Wall Street Journal is reporting what this war means in terms of Russia. And here's the reporting, Senator. Russia is one of the biggest winners in the early days of the largest U.S. military confrontation in decades, as Iranian missiles deplete stocks of Patriot interceptors that Ukraine needs for its defense. And Senator, one deputy chief of Ukraine's Air Force also tells the Wall Street Journal the biggest threat to Ukraine are Russia's ballistic missile strikes, and the only solution is the Patriot system. What does this mean? Not just for U.S. defense in general, but for the war in Ukraine that the United States has been supporting for so long.
As a longstanding, in fact, one of the leaders in the United States Senate on behalf of aiding Ukraine militarily and economically, I am very fearful that this war is a setback for Ukraine. We've been told again and again and again, one reason that we can't provide interceptors for the Patriot system or other munitions for Ukraine is that they're in short supply. But the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said yesterday we have plenty of munitions and ordnance. So there is clearly,
do you have a window into this, what
answer.
the answer is? Yeah, what the answer is when there is this contradiction?
No window whatsoever, no explanation, no transparency or disclosure in classified settings or in public. And this confused, chaotic approach to arming the forces in Iran contradicts what we've been told about Ukraine. And I will say, Ukraine is a loser, but so are American consumers, because already energy prices are rising. So will other costs of goods and living, because LNG increased prices, as well as oil, will mean higher costs not only at the pump, but in supermarkets and other places where American consumers buy their goods. So there's a lose-lose here for America, for Ukraine, maybe a win for Russia, because those energy prices rising will help fuel Russia's war machine, and we are expending arms in Iran that Ukraine could use in the fight for its life and the fight for freedom, which is our fight as well.
I have to ask you, there's reporting coming out from Punchbowl this morning that President Trump is quietly asking Republicans on the Hill if he should fire DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. And what's reportedly irked the president so much, according to Punchbowl reporting, is her testimony before your committee, Judiciary, this week. Trump especially is unhappy with the tense exchange that she had with Republican senators. Are you hearing anything of this quiet chatter by the president about wanting to push her out?
I am hearing some not so quiet chatter, Kate, about the Republicans' increasing dismay about Kristi Noem. She is one of the most incompetent and seemingly disingenuous witnesses I've ever seen before any committee in my decade and a half in Congress. When I asked her to acknowledge the 3 victims of ICE brutality and violence, she basically was evasive and unresponsive. She gave a kind of rote, rehearsed answer without providing any kind of sympathy for these individuals who had been brutally assaulted, and one of them shot a number of times, and refused to even condemn that kind of conduct, which was gloated over by her agents. And then my colleagues, Senators Kennedy and Tillis, in their questions, exposed her lack of understanding, as well as her uncaring and abuse of power in, for example, the ad campaign that she did, which primarily elevated herself and her own name recognition. So yes, there's a lot of not so quiet chatter, and I think the president is saying the quiet part out loud, that she may be the first of his cabinet secretaries to go.
It seemed that performance in front of your committee this week definitely is grabbing more attention than maybe she was hoping. Senator, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.